Morning everyone. Had a little bit of a glitch at the beginning there, so I'll chop that out obviously once this video actually comes on. I wanted to talk to you a couple of things that happened yesterday. I've watched a couple of other videos that have just been released with the Sony A9. Let me just bring up the chat because I want to see how many people we're actually getting here. So just say hi if you are actually watching. I'm just going to pop out this chat window. Just going to put in hi. Morning everyone. Had a little bit of a git. Okay. All right, so I've got a few now on board, so we can start having a discussion. I've got the chat window out now, and I'll bring that up so we can have a look there too. So just say hi if you are actually watching, but I'm going to stop now because I'll start doing the chat from now. So I'll just pause for a second and then I'll begin the conversation. Hi everyone. I had a couple of things that were sent to me overnight that has sort of made me reevaluate ordering the A9, and I wanted to sort of talk to you about that and see what you guys think. I've just had one person comment hi mate, how are you? Mark Geller posted this video. He's an Australian, I think he's a Sony ambassador for down here in Australia, and he posted a video yesterday of a dog running. I'm going to show you that shortly, where he's showing the focus, and he also posted some images of it as well. Yesterday I also put up a video from DPR Review talking about the dynamic range of the Sony A9 and how they thought that it wasn't very good. I had quite a good conversation with a number of people talking about that actually. It was a really interesting conversation, but I have decided to take that video down. The reason why I've done that is because I think I'm not giving Sony a fair chance in that I haven't got the camera to evaluate myself, and they may have had, obviously when they took those photos with the image, it may have not even been the final Sony firmware. So what I think I'm going to do, well I have done, is I've pre-ordered the A9. So I am going to get it in 2 weeks time hopefully. It's meant to be here I think on June the 2nd here in Australia, and I have a wedding on June the 3rd, so with a bit of luck I will have it to be able to use on that day. Now what I intend to do obviously is, rather than just talking from innuendo or rumours or whatever about how this camera is performing, I thought that I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, purchase the camera, and then give you guys a real world review of how it's working, so you'll see firsthand how the dynamic range is and whether it affects my photography. You'll see whether there is any issues with banding, how the low light is working and things like that. There's a few people now saying hi guys, so I will have a chat with you all shortly. So leave some questions too if you have any there. Carlo, if you are watching this too, you can leave your question down in there as well, and I will get back to you. I did see you just asked a question a few minutes ago. So what I've decided to do, I have pre-ordered the Sony A9. It's around about $7,000 here in Australia, believe it or not, so it is really quite expensive. But I suppose the cameras it's competing against, it's still $1,000 cheaper than the 1DX Mark II, and it's $2,000 cheaper than the D5. So it is still not an expensive camera if you put it in that range. And I did previously purchase the D4S, and that I think at the time was around $7,000 when I bought that. So that was a very expensive camera as well. So as a full-time professional, I don't mind spending a fair bit of money on gear because I can write it as a tax write-off anyway, and I'll gain it back through the money I'm earning through my business anyway. But yeah, so I've decided, rather than just talking about what the dynamic range is, and having some people were saying they didn't really believe what they had written DP Review and things like that, there were issues. So rather than sort of arguing all these things, I thought I'm just going to buy this camera and then talk to you about it myself. That way you'll know exactly what's going on, and then basically I'm giving a review from the way I use it, and I've put my money where my mouth is, rather than have it just talking from other people's reviews. But I wanted to take you through just a couple of things. Yesterday, like I said, Mark Geller put one up. I'm going to switch to this desktop so that you can see the article. He put this article up yesterday talking about a review of the Sony A9, and this is one of the shots that he's actually captured. But if I start to scroll down, it is saying that it's $4,599, and there is a description. That's US price, obviously, though. It's still saying that it's $1,000 cheaper than the Canon EOS 1DX Mark II and $2,000 cheaper than the Nikon D5. So there is quite a big difference in price between these two cameras. It is available in Australia from June the 2nd. I'm not sure if that's the same in the US, guys. Let me know whether it is June the 2nd that you guys are going to get it, or whether it's a little bit earlier than that. And it's $6,999 Australian over here. So it is reasonably expensive, a lot more expensive than what you guys are paying. Speedlight Photography just said, just done Mercedes Fashion Week and I used the A7R III and the other pros were laughing until they saw the results. I know, that is just incredible. I can't believe other photographers laugh at other photographers' gear. It's just nuts. I have had that a couple of times with my weddings. I'm just going to lower this volume down a bit. It's a bit hot, I think. I have had that a couple of times with my weddings. But you know what? All I have to say or think of is they're going to see the work. The bride and groom have hired me, or this, you know, if I'm doing fashion, they've hired me for a certain reason and they know what I'm capable of doing. So you know what? I just laugh back at them. And at the end of the day, when I know that I'm not going to have the sore back, I know that I'm going to have this amazing recovery, things like that, it doesn't bother me at all. Honestly, I love my A7R II. It's just the best camera I've ever used. So if the A9 is anything like that, I'll be absolutely tickled pink. But it is interesting that you said, Speedlight Photography, that they were laughing at you. It's just crazy. I can't understand people like that. So it is available on the 2nd. Like I said, let me know if it is available earlier where you are. I think I heard sort of around the 25th, but whether that's just starting to ship on that day, I'm not really sure. So I'm going to play you this video that Mark Geller just took of his dog running, or it's a dog that's running, and there's another couple that I can show you there as well. So I'm going to play that and you'll sort of have a look at how the focus is keeping up here. Obviously this is a bit of an introductory part to it, and then he'll go straight on to showing it work. So this is it in obviously continuous focus, going through basically capturing, and it's showing his still shots. So it's obviously using the 20 frames per second, and you can see it is keeping up with what the dogs are doing. And it looks like, I think he's shooting with the new lens. I'll look down at that in a minute, but basically that new lens also seems to be amazing as well. So this is some kite surfers that he shot shooting around the bay here. And things like that. He then goes for a review talking about it, but you can have a look at that yourself. If you look for Mark Geller up the top, up there, you'll be able to listen to his review. He's obviously, like I said, he's an Australian ambassador for Sony. Just let me bring up a couple of these questions so that we can see them together. Jess said, the Sony A9 actually seems to be a versatile camera for many professional photographers, as it covers a wider range of photography than many claim. So I do not think you can go wrong with it. Yeah, and I'm hoping that's true, Jess. Like I said, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is and buy it. So I will have it in 2 weeks. So I'll let you all know, and I'll test it extensively as well. It does seem to be that the focusing is just incredible, and that's one thing that I have missed a bit leaving the D4S, the Nikon D4S, because the focus on that was better than anything that I'm getting on the Sony cameras, especially in low light. The A6500 is pretty close in good light. The A6500 in good light is amazing, but it still doesn't match my D4S in low light. So I'm hoping that this camera, it may look like it's even better. So it's incredible. Not having that sort of blackout in the shutter also will be incredible for doing things. Now, the reason why this interests me is because I shoot a lot of dance sort of images. Now, I'm not talking about dance concerts. I'm actually talking about paid shoots for dancers who want to actually build a portfolio or use it to get other work. And I've been using the A6500 for that, to get them jumping and things like that. And you'll see that if you look at a few of my videos. But the D9, I think, is just going to be incredible for that. So I can't wait to have that, and have that no blackout. It is going to be probably a game changer for me in that respect. So If I do find that the dynamic range is not quite as good, look, either way, I'm still going to take my A7R2 to the weddings, because I probably will still capture the formal portrait shots of the wedding with the A7R2. And I'm going to do that for a couple of reasons. One, I want the resolution, because that's important to me if they're going to blow these images up big. And my clients do get massive images blown up from their images. And also I like that croppability of it as well. So I think I'll probably do a lot of the wedding with the A9, but then when I'm doing the formal portraits, I'll probably use the A7R2. But that's no different than what I use now. I'm using multiple cameras now. So it'll be interesting to let you know how it goes. Philippe said, I still use the A6000 for weddings and headshots, coupled with Zeiss lenses, and love the results. I know people talk about the APS-C cameras as if it's a bad thing, and it's not. The results you get from that camera is amazing. The A6300 that I have and the A6500, I've got no problem at all using that in weddings, at all, for photography or video. I mean, the video is outstanding, but I've certainly got no problem at all using that in a wedding scenario or any paid shoot. Like I said, I don't give a hoot what anyone thinks about me, other photographers. If they're looking at me carrying the small gear, I don't care. I mean, all it is about me is the images I produce. So, you know, I'm over that aspect of having to have this amazing, massive camera and things like that. And, you know, it just doesn't work with me anymore. It's results that matter to me. Vic said, Sony seems to be trying to get everyone into the Apple mindset. They think Sony users will buy whatever they introduce. I'm happy with and will continue to use my A7R2. Yeah, and I can understand that, Vic, and that's your choice to do that, and there's no issue with that too. If you're happy with what you've got, stay with it. I'm trying to, like I said, build my channel as well, so I'm trying to stay current too with the technology that's out there. So rather than just reviewing this camera from what other people are reviewing it as, I'm going to, like I said, put my money where my mouth is and buy it myself, and then I can review it as me using it rather than talking about what other people are reviewing it as. And that's why I took that video down that I did yesterday. Mavfan said, if any camera company thinks people will buy whatever they introduce, it's Canon. Look at Canon's comparatively lame mirrorless. I know, and their mirrorless have been terrible at this stage. It's a bit of a joke. Eventually they have to wake up to that you know, and try and do something decent, because if they don't, they're really in trouble. I mean, look at what's happening with Nikon. You know, I mean, they lost money. That might have only been those 2 months, but still, if you look at the camera sales overall, the mirrorless cameras are starting to outsell digital SLRs, and that's going to change more and more and more. So, you know, that's one reason why I wanted to jump when I did, because I thought, gee, you know, I had so much money invested in Nikon, and I thought if the market did drop down in that market, I wanted to make sure that I got decent money back for my gear. And I did. So I sold it at a point where I thought I really wanted to change. And I was bored with Nikon's innovation. That was the problem for me. They just weren't innovating enough. And because I shoot so much video as well as stills at the same time, they had nothing really that could cope with that. So, you know, that's one of the main reasons I switched over. Plus, I just love the weight of the Sony cameras. And let's be frank now, lenses were an issue early on, but lenses are no longer an issue. Anyone that says lenses now are an issue with the Sony lineup, it's just crazy, because with the new two lenses, I'm going to discuss those in a minute, but with those two new lenses, now they've covered the wide end. They have the 70-200 2.8, they have the 24-70 2.8, they have some amazing prime lenses. The only thing they lack at this stage is the sports end, which is the, you know, the 400 2.8s or whatever, but that's going to come. So, and if you did want to use that, you could use an adapter and use any other lens. So I just don't understand why people whinge about that lens aspect of it. It does my head in, because it's just not a relevant argument anymore. For me, clearly, I've got more than enough. There's way more lenses now that Sony have than what I need. So for me, lenses are not an issue. And Philippe said, at the end of the day, it's not about the gear, it's about the results. Yeah, exactly, Philippe. I'm totally with you on that, mate. Yeah, so if you want to read that, Michael, this Gala interview report, let me just move those questions down again for a second. He also goes through the camera. He gives a good review about what the camera will do. You can click on these images to get magnified views so that you can get an idea about how sharp they are, and it is incredibly sharp. It's beautiful. And there's an image later on that he shows I think he's using, what was he using? He was using this with an A-mount lens in conjunction with the LA EA3 adapter. He doesn't say what the lens was though. No, he's not saying. Now this image was captured at 6400 ISO. So again, I think that the high ISO of this camera, Jason Lanier posted some images yesterday or the day before of really high ISO images as well, shot at night, and they looked amazing as well. So clearly high ISO on this camera is not going to be an issue. And remember, it is tailored as a sports camera, so that's an amazing thing that you can push this ISO up so much. He's saying that claims the focus is 25% faster than the previous cameras, and he thinks that that presumably refers to the A6500. So he's saying that the focus is 25% faster than the A6500. Excuse me. So if that's the case, that's really quite incredible. The other thing as well is Sony also claimed that PADAF will work with apertures as small as f11 compared to f8 with that of the A7 and A6500 cameras. So if you are stopping down the aperture, that's a really good thing as well, that you can use the PADAF now up to f11, which is also a big thing. Let me also scroll down. This is another thing too that does interest me. This 32 thousandth of a second, Michael commented on one of my posts yesterday about that, and it was a very good comment, because at the moment you're limited with the cameras that I've got to 8,000th of a second. So if you're using very, very fast glass, you end up having to use an ND or something like that, because you just can't do it with the 8,000th of a second. With this though, you could go up to 1/32,000th of a second, which means you can probably shoot at 1.4, for instance, sometimes in sunlight. So it is going to bring some totally different approaches to shooting, which I haven't been able to do before. So that is a really interesting thing for me. Especially shooting weddings and things like that, I'm going to be able to get some beautiful out of focus backgrounds using fast glass, like I love the Batis and the Sony 1.435. So I'll be able to shoot those more wide open outdoors. So that's going to be a really interesting thing as well. I still haven't decided whether I'm going to get the vertical grip yet. Any of you guys that are buying it, let me know whether you think that's a necessity or not. The reason why I say that is I bought the vertical grip for the A7R2, and I've only used it a couple of times. I still like that small form factor. So for me, it becomes an issue that I'm not certain whether I want to get the vertical grip or not. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, things like this Ethernet port and stuff I probably will never use. I suppose if I'm downloading directly to my computer one day, I might use that in studio. Dual SD cards obviously is a big advantage. It's one thing that Sony has been missing, but to be honest, I've never ever had a card go wrong. But if I use this, I won't have to worry about that anymore. Probably the way I will shoot it is I'm going to be shooting it with RAW on the fast camera, the UHSII card slot, and then I'll be shooting JPEG as a backup to the slower card slot. That shouldn't slow that camera down too much. But plus I don't need RAW on both. I'm pretty confident that I'll be able to shoot just JPEG as a backup on the other. So at least if I did have a card failure, I've got that backup too that I can use as well. So that's a really good feature that we'll have. And I'm sure that Sony's latest A7 or A8, whatever they're going to be, will hopefully have that dual card slots as well. The tilt screen, obviously the monitor this time is meant to be a lot better. They've also got rid of another annoying feature which drives me nuts on the other Sony cameras that I've got. If you open up the viewfinder, I haven't got a camera with me here. No, I haven't. If you open up the viewfinder camera at the back and you bring it too close to your body, it obviously switches to your EVF. And you can stop that by manually changing it, but it's annoying. Apparently this new camera won't do that, so you can put it right up against your body, and it must have some sense that your eye has to be up to the EVF to cut it off. So that's another really good advantage as well. And obviously lenses that I'll talk about. These are some shots that he's actually taken with this lens. Now he took this with the 100-400, so that's the new Sony lens that's just been released. Which is sort of targeted for the sport shooters. Just let me see what Steve said. A7R2 definitely need the grip. 1 for extra battery life, 2 for better handling of big lenses, extra buttons in portrait mode. Yeah, I know, and I did use that, Steve. Like I said, the thing for me, I just like that minimalistic size, so I just don't know. I might get it and then see if I'll use it, but I'm not sure whether I will or not, because like I said, I do love that lightweight. When I'm moving fast and stuff, to have such little weight on me is really amazing, but I'll have to see. I'm going to open up these two images so you can, well, I'll open up the bottom one of this dog so you can see its fur. Hopefully you can see the detail enough looking through this, but I can see it on my computer screen. The detail from that lens is pretty incredible, actually, and that's not a G Gold Master lens, so you know it's pretty beautiful, and the out of focus looks gorgeous. The colors are amazing. I'm not sure whether he shot this in JPEG or whether it was RAW and then converted over. I'm not quite certain, but you know the results do look really nice. So like I said, if you want to check this page out, you can just Google Mark Gaylor, and you can actually check his review out, because he's done a full review as well. Philippe said, I think the most exciting feature of the A9 is the no blackout screen when shooting at high frame rates. I know that will be beautiful for me shooting dance shots, that's for sure. I very rarely will probably use it in weddings. I may use it, like I said, if the bride and groom are sort of doing, I like to have a bit of fun with them, and they'll jump around and things like that. I may use it for that sort of situation. But to be honest, probably a lot of the time in weddings, I'll probably still be using it under as mechanical shutter, because I'll be using flash. And then sometimes if I'm using natural light, like getting makeup, things like that, doing those sort of shots, I'll switch to the electronic shutter. So I'll let you know how that goes though once I get the camera, and I'll show you me using it in real life. So that's one thing. Now the camera that I bought, the card that I bought for this camera, boy, they're expensive. I bought this one, which is the SanDisk 128GB Extreme Pro UHS2. I think Sony have got one that's come out as well, but that's the one that I've grabbed. Just let me know what you guys are sort of buying for this, whether you're going to get the, you know, the 64 gig one or the 128. But I thought, I always shoot the 128GB cards anyway, and I've never had an issue. But especially now, seeing I can have a backup, I'll probably put a 64 gigabyte card in the second slot, because I'm shooting JPEG. That'll be ample. Yeah, so let me know what you guys think. But yeah, I was quite surprised about the cost of that. So I ordered that this morning, and that'll be here within a week or so from B&H. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. These are new cards out. Like I said, I know Sony has just released one as well. Now, I just wanted to go quickly through these two new lenses that have just been released, because I'm not sure I'm going to buy one yet, but the 12 to 24 actually interests me quite a bit, because I do like really wide lenses. Shooting things like after the wedding, for instance, I'll always shoot the crowd, the whole sort of wedding group in front of the church or something like that, and I always need a very wide lens. And often the 16 to 35 hasn't been wide enough, and I've ended up having to use the 10 to 18. Put that on, because you can use that at 12mm. So I've been using that. So this 12 to 24 does actually interest me quite a bit, and apparently from the reviews that people have said that have had it just over the last few days, it's actually a very good lens. The 16 to 35 apparently is unbelievable, and it's incredibly sharp. Max Urov has done a video on this, so you can watch that one if you want to see how this performs. But it's just a beautiful lens. And then people start to whinge about the prices of these, but if you go back and check the price of the Canon lenses when they were first released around this size, they were similar prices, or it might just be a $200 difference. So again, if you're talking about saying the Sony lenses are expensive, they're not. These have just been released, they're new. You know, so you'd pay that now if you had a new Canon or Nikon lens. So don't use that as a reason to sort of not get one. Like I said, I'm not sure I'll get the 16 to 35 2.8. I am tempted to get because I now shoot a lot of primes, I'm tempted to get a really good prime, wide prime. So if you can, anyone that's watching this, or later on in the comments down below, guys, if you can let me know what you guys recommend as a really good, really wide prime. I don't care if it's manual focus, but you know, I want a really quite wide one. Let me know what you guys have used, because I haven't used any prime wides. I've only got the 16 to 35 f4 and the 10 to 18 APS-C lens. So they're the ones that I'm using, but I'd like a prime. Because I mostly shoot 35mm, the 1.4, I probably don't need the 16 to 35. I could probably just get a really good wide prime. So if you can, let me know that. I'll be really interested to get your opinion about those. Obviously these lenses, you're going to start seeing reviews coming out. I think the 16 to 35 is not released until August, so there's a bit of a wait on that one. The 12 to 24 is coming soon. That's going to be July the 31st. So you can get that one a little bit earlier. And these are US prices, obviously. So yeah. So have you got any questions, guys, before we go? Because this is just a quick talk. I just wanted to let you know that I have pre-purchased the A9. So that's mostly what this is about. So if you can, give me a thumbs up. Obviously, if you can, subscribe to my channel, please. That helps a lot. 80mm batis, yeah, that's pretty good. I just don't know if that's wide enough, Steve. That's the problem. It's probably not quite wide enough for me. I've got the batis 85, and I'm sure that batis 18 is amazing, and that will be autofocus too, I suppose. But I just don't know if it's quite wide enough. I want to try and get something, you know, if I can, around the 12 to 14. So it'll be interesting to see what there is in that lens range. So any more questions, guys, before I go? Otherwise, I'll see you again on Tuesday, I think your time, for this around about the same, oh, it'll be a bit later. It's around about 7 o'clock New York time. So I'll see you then for the next live chat, where I'll be showing things like my workflow and things like that, and we'll have a talk about the latest rumors and things as well. Trees Photography said, this camera seems great to anyone that has never owned a Canon 1DX and 1DX2. I don't doubt you will like it more than an A6500. Well, I certainly do hope I like it more than the A6500. But I must admit, though, I do really like that A6500. It's a stellar camera for the price of that camera. You get it. It's really cheap for what you're actually getting. All right, guys. Well, we might call it a day there. If there's no last questions before I sign off. Like I said, let me know down below if you are pre-purchasing the camera, and let me know down below if you do recommend a really good wide angle that you've been using, because that would really help me as well. And I'll see you again soon for the next video. I'll have probably another forest shoot that I've done up in the next day or so you'll be able to see that as well. I think they're shot with the A6500, and there's one with the A7R2 as well, so you'll see those as well. Nav fan said I'd never want to a huge heavy camera like the 1DX. I know that was like that when I had the D4S. Nav fan, honestly, my back was so sore at the end of the day. It used to take me a day to recover after a wedding, and I just don't want to do that anymore. I don't get back pains at all now, lugging the Sony stuff around, so it was a game changer for me. All right, guys, well, we'll call it a day, and I'll see you again soon for my next video, and it's been great to have a chat.